Once upon a time, in a park not too far away, there lived a squirrel who was afraid of nuts. Now, you're probably thinking, what kind of squirrel is afraid of nuts? That's like, I don't know, the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But it's true. This squirrel, whose name was Sammy, was terrified of nuts. All the other squirrels in the park loved nuts. They'd go around collecting them in the fall, so they could have a nice stash to eat during the winter, when there weren't many other food options available. But not Sammy. He didn't want anything to do with nuts. Now, Sammy wasn't the brightest bulb in the batch, but he was trying his best. He figured he could get by just fine without nuts. After all, there were plenty of acorns around, and Sammy loved acorn soup. It was his favorite thing in the whole wide world. There were also plenty of nut-free berries in the area. So every day, Sammy would set out to gather as many of these delicious berries as he could. He'd spend his days leaping from branch to branch, gathering his supplies, and then come home to his cozy tree hollow to enjoy his delicious acorn soup and berries. Life was good. Then, one day Sammy woke up and realized that winter was coming. The leaves were starting to turn, and pretty soon the trees would be bare and the weather would be cold and snowy. And that meant that soon there wouldn't be any more berries or tasty treats for him to gather. All the other squirrels had spent the summer collecting nuts, and now they were going to have plenty to eat all winter long. What would Sammy do? He knew he couldn't keep avoiding nuts forever. He was going to have to face his fear and find a way to get some for himself. But how? Sammy wasn't very brave, and he certainly wasn't very good at asking other squirrels for help. But he really didn't have any other options. So, as the days grew colder and the snow began to fall, Sammy the squirrel set out on a quest to find some nuts. On his journey, he met a wise old owl who told him that if he was willing to listen to her, she would help him find a nut that was big enough and juicy enough to make the best acorn soup ever. But in order to get to this special nut tree, Sammy would have to win a squirrel dance-off against Horace the squirrel, who just so happened to be the best dancing squirrel in the whole park. Now, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that Sammy wasn't the brightest bulb in the batch. And when Sammy heard that he'd have to go up against Horace in a dance-off, he said, "Oh boy, I can't dance at all. I'm so bad at dancing. I once tripped over my own tail and landed flat on my face." But the wise old owl told him not to worry, because she had a magic acorn that would make him the greatest dancing squirrel in the whole park. And if he was the greatest dancing squirrel in the whole park, then he would win the dance-off. And he would get the nut that would make the best acorn soup ever. So, with the help of the wise old owl and a magic acorn, Sammy practiced his dance moves and prepared for the ultimate showdown against Horace the squirrel. And now we come to the most important part of this story, and that is to get your tickets to see Sammy the squirrel take on Horace the squirrel in a dance-off for the ages. Tickets are on sale now at the box office, or you can just show up on opening night. It's going to be a night filled with music and laughter and fun for the whole family. There will be games and activities for kids of all ages, as well as food and drinks for purchase. And here's the best part. All proceeds from the event will go towards providing food and care for the animals in our local animal shelter. So not only will you be having a great time, but you'll also be helping out a good cause. So what are you waiting for? Get your tickets today and join us for an unforgettable evening of entertainment and fun. Okay, now back to the story. As the days grew shorter and the temperatures dropped, Sammy knew that he needed to find a nut as soon as possible. But as he searched, he found that all of the nuts had been taken. Every tree he climbed was bare, and it seemed as though his quest was doomed to fail. Just when he was about to give up hope, he saw a small group of squirrels gathered around a large oak tree. And as he got closer, he heard them talking about a nut tasting contest that was being hosted by Horace the squirrel. Now, you might remember Horace from earlier in the story. He was the best dancing squirrel in the whole park, and he was also known for his exquisite taste in nuts. Every year, he hosted a nut tasting contest, and this year's competition was said to be the best yet. An idea then struck Sammy like a bolt of lightning. If he could win the nut tasting contest, then he would have all the nuts he needed to make the best acorn soup ever. But there was just one problem. Sammy didn't really know anything about nuts. He couldn't tell a walnut from a chestnut, let alone identify the subtle differences between them. But Sammy was determined to make this work. He spent the next few days gathering as many nuts as he could find, and then he set out to visit the wisest squirrel he knew. Old Squirrel Fitzwilliam, who just so happened to be the author of a book called Nuts for Squirrels. Old Squirrel Fitzwilliam agreed to help Sammy prepare for the nut tasting contest, and soon Sammy was well on his way to becoming a nut tasting superstar. At the end of the contest, Sammy wins the nut tasting contest and uses his prize nuts to make the best acorn soup ever. He realizes that facing his fears and trying new things can lead to amazing results, and he lives happily ever after. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night, little one.